Jeff wasn't your average scientist. Sure, he sported a lab coat perpetually dusted with chalk, because pockets were for amateurs. Knowledge was his true treasure, and his hair resembled a perpetually startled owl. But his experiments weren't about bigger bombs or faster toasters. Jeff's passion was the grand tapestry of history, and his lab, a cluttered haven in his basement, housed his most prized creation, a time machine disguised as an old grandfather clock. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes, he'd end up face-first in a muddy Roman chariot race instead of a bustling Egyptian marketplace, or arrive a week too late for the Viking invasion he wanted to witness. But it worked, and that was all that mattered to Jeff. He wasn't interested in personal gain or rewriting history for a reality show. He wanted to nudge it, ever so slightly, for the greater good. One dreary Tuesday, Jeff found himself hunched over dusty history books, a determined furrow etched on his brow. The Great Fire of London, 1666, a tragedy that claimed thousands of lives and devoured the city like a monstrous dragon. Could he prevent it? Stepping into the humming, time-warped interior of the clock, he set the dials and braced himself for the familiar jolt. He landed with a thud on cobblestones, the stench of sewage and smoke assaulting his nostrils. London was a tinderbox, wooden houses huddled together like forgotten dominoes. Jeff had a week. He spent it strategically befriending the local fire warden, a gruff man named Thomas with a heart as big as his booming voice. Together, they devised a plan: wider fire breaks, more strategically placed water barrels, and a relentless campaign to educate the public about basic fire safety. The day of the fire dawned, a crisp autumn morning. A spark, a scream, flames licked at the dry tinder. Jeff and Thomas sprang into action. The wider fire breaks gave them precious time. The water reserves meant the flames didn't spread with the same terrifying speed. London still burned. Smoke choked the air, but the fire was contained. Lives were saved. Jeff returned to his own time, a quiet satisfaction warming his chest. He wouldn't get a medal, no one would know the lucky break London had, but that was all right. He'd done a good deed, a ripple in the vast pond of time. Next, he set his sights on a different era, a different battleground, the American Civil War. He couldn't erase the war entirely, but could he nudge it towards a faster resolution, lessen the number of lives tragically lost? He landed in a makeshift hospital tent, the cries of wounded soldiers echoing in his ears. Here, he found his purpose, sharing his knowledge of basic hygiene and wound care, techniques most people in his own time took for granted. The rudimentary methods he introduced saved countless lives. Doctors, initially skeptical, saw the results and adopted his methods. Jeff couldn't stop the war, but he could make it a little less brutal, a little less heartbreaking. His journeys continued. He whispered warnings of impending natural disasters in the ears of unsuspecting leaders, nudged budding scientific discoveries in the right direction, anonymously planted seeds of peace during tense political negotiations. He became a silent guardian, a ghost in the machine of time. There were mishaps, of course. Once, he landed smack dab in the middle of a ferocious pirate battle and barely escaped with his life, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. Another time, he returned to a future ravaged by a technological disaster he might have inadvertently caused. Each time he learned, adapted his methods, a testament to his unwavering determination. Years blurred into decades. Jeff aged, his hair turned a distinguished salt and pepper, and his lab grew even more cluttered with souvenirs from his travels. A chipped mug from the Boston Tea Party, a rusty compass from the Age of Exploration, a dented helmet from a jousting tournament he'd, mostly, avoided being part of. One day, a knock on his basement door startled him from his calculations. A young woman named Amelia stood there, her eyes sparkling with curiosity and a hint of desperation. She was a historian, she explained, researching a series of seemingly unconnected events throughout history. A fire that never quite took hold in London, a sudden jump in medical knowledge during the Civil War, whispered warnings that saved countless lives. Jeff's heart skipped a beat. He knew then that his time as a silent guardian was coming to an end. He ushered Amelia into his lab, the gears of the time machine whirring softly in the background. Maybe, he thought, It was time to share his secret, to create a legacy, a team of guardians who would continue nudging history towards a brighter future. After all, sometimes the greatest discoveries weren't found in the past, but in the future we could create together. A flicker of fear replaced Amelia's initial curiosity as Jeff revealed the time machine. The implications of a time traveler meddling with history were vast and terrifying.
You can't be serious. What if you mess things up even worse? What if you create a paradox and unravel the fabric of time itself?
I haven't, not yet. I've always been careful, made only minor nudges. But the potential for disaster is real. That's why I need your help.
Amelia's brow furrowed.
My help? How?
Jeff explained his vision. A team of guardians, historians like Amelia who could analyze the past and identify critical moments where a subtle nudge could lead to a better future. He'd train them to use the time machine, but with strict protocols and fail-safes in place. Amelia remained unconvinced.
This is a huge responsibility. What if we get caught? What if someone else gets their hands on this technology?
Those are risks we have to take. The world is on a precarious path: climate change, political turmoil, resource depletion. These problems are interconnected, and history holds the key to preventing them from spiraling out of control.
His words resonated with Amelia. As a historian, she understood the interconnectedness of events, the butterfly effect of seemingly insignificant actions. She knew Jeff was right. Ignoring the potential for good would be a dereliction of duty. Hesitantly, Amelia agreed. Together, they embarked on a rigorous training program. Jeff, with his years of experience, taught her the intricacies of time travel, the importance of blending in, and the delicate art of influencing the past without changing its core essence. Their first mission was audacious: the Cuban Missile Crisis. The world had teetered on the brink of nuclear war in 1962, and Jeff believed a subtle nudge could have averted disaster. Amelia, armed with historical knowledge and Jeff's guidance, landed in Washington, D.C. during a crucial meeting between high-ranking officials. Disguised as a secretary, Amelia subtly swayed the discussion, planting seeds of doubt and highlighting the devastating consequences of a nuclear conflict. The tension remained high, but the meeting ended with a more conciliatory tone. Returning to their time, they watched with bated breath as news reports confirmed a peaceful resolution to the crisis. Their success emboldened them. They tackled environmental disasters, prevented the rise of totalitarian regimes, and nudged scientific advancements in the right direction. However, their covert operations weren't without risks. On one mission, Amelia was captured by suspicious government agents. With Jeff stranded in the past, she had to rely on her wits and historical knowledge to escape. Jeff and Amelia realized they had to be more careful, more secretive. As the years passed, the burden of their clandestine activities began to fracture the bond between her and Jeff. He reveled in the success of their missions, a child playing with a powerful toy. Amelia, however, couldn't shake the feeling that they were tampering with forces beyond their comprehension. Their next mission brought their conflicting ideologies to a head. A devastating plague threatened to sweep across Europe in the 14th century: the Black Death. Jeff, ever the pragmatist, saw this as an opportunity to prevent millions of deaths. Amelia, however, argued that altering such a pivotal event could have unforeseen consequences, derailing the socio-economic and cultural developments that shaped the modern world. The tension between them grew so thick it could be cut with a knife. Jeff, frustrated by Amelia's growing hesitation, decided to take matters into his own hands. He programmed the time machine for the 14th century, leaving Amelia behind with a resolute,
"We can't let history repeat itself."
Amelia, torn between her loyalty and her convictions, knew she had to stop him. Desperate, she delved into her historical knowledge, searching for a way to counter Jeff's actions without creating a paradox. Finally, she found a solution: a young physician on the cusp of a breakthrough discovery. Traveling back to the same period, Amelia found the young doctor, his research stalled by lack of funding and recognition. Using her knowledge of future medicine and a carefully crafted narrative about a devastating plague to come, she nudged him towards a crucial breakthrough. The doctor, fueled by newfound urgency and Amelia's veiled insights, made a revolutionary discovery: a rudimentary treatment for the Black Death. The plague still spread, but its virulence was lessened, saving countless lives. Returning to their own time, Amelia found Jeff, his face etched with disappointment. He had witnessed the doctor's success, but remained convinced of his own approach. It was a tense standoff, two guardians of time at odds.
We can't play God, Jeff. History is a tapestry, and every thread is connected. We can't pull at one without unraveling the entire piece.
Jeff stared at her, his initial defiance slowly giving way to understanding. He saw the fear in her eyes, but also the unwavering conviction. Perhaps he thought she was right. They never spoke of the Black Death incident again, but a silent understanding settled between them. Their methods may differ, but their goal remained the same: to nudge history in a positive direction. Years later, as Jeff lay on his deathbed, Amelia sat beside him, the grandfather clock ticking softly in the background. He looked at her, his eyes filled with a lifetime of experiences.
We did good, didn't we?
We did, Jeff. We did.
Amelia smiled, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. With that, Jeff closed his eyes, the secrets of a lifetime buried with him. Amelia, now the sole guardian of the time machine, stood before a daunting future. She knew the responsibility was hers now, a legacy to uphold. Taking a deep breath, she approached the clock, the gears whirring to life at her touch. The past beckoned, its mysteries and challenges waiting to be nudged, ever so slightly, for the betterment of humanity. Amelia's journey as the sole guardian wasn't easy. The time machine, though mostly reliable, still held the potential for glitches. Once, during a mission to prevent the assassination of a pivotal leader in the fight against climate change, she landed smack dab in the middle of a fierce gladiator battle in ancient Rome. It took her weeks, disguised as a lowly water carrier, to finally reach the leader's advisor and subtly warn him of the assassination plot. As the years passed, Amelia became more adept at navigating different historical periods, perfecting the art of blending in and influencing events with minimal disruption. She recruited a small, trusted team, a brilliant but jaded physicist, a stoic historian specializing in ancient civilizations, and a charismatic linguist adept at languages across time. Together, they formed a clandestine organization unofficially dubbed the Weavers. Their missions became more complex, tackling issues that spanned centuries. They nudged scientific discoveries, fostered cultural exchange, and even prevented a near-miss nuclear war during the Cold War by planting a strategically placed, lost document outlining the devastating consequences. However, their success attracted unwanted attention. A rogue government agency, fueled by the whispers of time travel, launched a relentless pursuit of the Weavers. Amelia, now a seasoned leader, developed a complex web of safe houses and alternate identities across time periods. The pursuit became a constant game of cat and mouse, adding a layer of thrilling risk to their missions. One day, while researching a potential ecological disaster in the distant future, Amelia stumbled upon a chilling message encoded within an ancient Mayan calendar, a warning of a future where the Weavers, once protectors of the timeline, became its oppressors. The revelation shook Amelia to her core. Was their mission of nudging history a slippery slope to manipulating it? Were they becoming the very force they sought to control? The question gnawed at her, casting a shadow over their future endeavors. During their next mission, a mission to prevent the rise of a tyrannical regime in medieval Europe, Amelia found herself questioning their tactics. The historian on her team, a man named Elias, advocated for a more forceful intervention, while the physicist, Sam, worried about the potential butterfly effect. The debate turned intense, mirroring Amelia's internal conflict. As they argued, a lone figure emerged from the shadows, an agent from the government agency. He held a device that pulsed with an ominous blue light, a time travel disruptor. The Weavers were exposed. A frantic chase ensued through the bustling medieval marketplace. Amelia, using her knowledge of the city's layout, led them to a hidden escape route, a secret passage known only to a handful of trusted individuals. They managed to escape, but the encounter left them shaken. Back in their hidden headquarters, the weight of the situation settled upon them. Elias, his face grim, argued for taking the fight to the government agency. Sam, ever the pragmatist, advocated for lying low and reevaluating their methods. Amelia stood at the precipice of a crucial decision. Their mission to protect the future was more vital than ever, but altering the timeline, even with good intentions, was fraught with danger. She looked at her team, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination.
We can't abandon our mission, but we need to change our approach. We won't control the past, we'll guide it.
The Weavers embarked on a new chapter. They focused on disseminating knowledge, planting seeds of progress and understanding across different eras. They became anonymous advisors, whispering ideas in the ears of leaders, subtly encouraging scientific advancements, and fostering cultural exchange. Their influence became a subtle hum throughout history, a force not for manipulation, but for guidance. The fight against the rogue agency continued, but it was a war fought in the shadows, a constant reminder of the fine line they walked. Amelia, now an older woman, stands before the grandfather clock, her team gathered around her. The world they lived in wasn't perfect, but it was undeniably better than the one they inherited. A faint smile touches her lips as she turns towards the clock, the gears whirring to life. The future, though uncertain, held the promise of a world shaped by their gentle nudges, a testament to the power of guidance over control.